Well, now that we're going to turn to one of the most important aspects of what did Donald Trump know, and that is what does a subpoena mean? Donald Trump was asked in this interview why he did not comply with a federal subpoena to hand over all of the government documents, including classified documents, in his possession.
Even if I think they're accusing me of a fake crime, if I get a subpoena, I have to comply. I used to practice law for 10 years. You got to comply. You got to fork over the documents and then fight.
I have been complied with everything. I have given more documents, and they came in, they raided Mar-a-Lago, probably illegally, okay? And we'll find that out. They took documents that they weren't even allowed to do. But they took documents. They took everything.
They found documents.
And I would have given it to them.
Your lawyers signed a certification saying they turned over everything that was responsive. Then when the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago, they found documents that were responsive that had not been produced, marked classified.
I don't know. All I know is I'm allowed to have those documents.
But once you get a subpoena, you have to turn them over.
I know this. I don't even know that because I have the right to have those documents. So I don't really know that.
Neal Katyal, you can form your own question out of that one. When you get the subpoena, you have to hand over the documents. Donald Trump's answer is, I don't even know that.
So you want me to make sense of that word salad, Lawrence? I'll try. Okay, so it's just wrong on the facts and wrong on the law. On the facts, the reason why the FBI raided a former president's home for the first time is not because they just felt like it or something. It's because they had already tried to get these documents for a year and a half from him, and he kept on refusing, and then finally sent his lawyers out to say he had turned everything over, when lo and behold, when they raid, they find over 100 very sensitive documents that weren't turned over. So factually, he's just wrong. And legally, he's wrong as well. So even if you buy this cockamamie view of the Presidential Records Act, which would require you to believe yes means no or something like that, let's just say even that's right. Megyn Kelly is actually right on this. You still have an obligation to comply with a federal subpoena. And if you have a view of the Presidential Records Act and you want to litigate that, that's fine. You litigate that in court, but you don't get to just thumb your nose at a subpoena. And you certainly aren't allowed to go and order your employees to move boxes, delete footage, hide evidence, to obstruct the investigators in that very investigation about these documents. That's illegal every day of the week under any interpretation of law. And that's why I know everyone's saying, well, Trump is reckless in giving this interview and the like. I have a different view. I actually think that this is not an unwise strategy for him because he doesn't have a legal defense. He doesn't have a factual defense. The only defense he has is to try and poison the jury pool with his cockamamie nonsense and hope that he can draw a juror that's going to say this, or as Andrew says, hope that he can just stretch this out through innuendo and so on until after the presidential election and hope that the prosecution is terminated. These aren't legal defenses or factual defenses. They're extrajudicial defenses.
Bradley Moss, we have carefully considered every single word of Donald Trump's defense that he has ever said publicly about the charges in this case or in any of the other cases. Have you heard? I'm just going to say, I have not heard one word of legal defense, actual legal defense from Donald Trump about this documents case. Have I missed something?
No. Here's the grand total of viable words. Zero. None. And, Neal's absolutely right. This isn't about a legal defense at this point. It's not about a factual defense. It's strictly political. And he's got to be very careful, and we're waiting to see what Judge Chutkan says about this. He's got to be very careful about some of these statements he's making in his attempt to try to poison the jury pool. In his comments on Truth Social about the judge, he's begging to get himself in trouble. We know the Justice Department already brought some kind of motion before Judge Chutkan. We don't know what the status of is that. It's all under seal right now. But all this is spin. He's trying to drag it out and put himself in a situation where he's already nominated by the time that the trial comes around. And even if he's convicted, he'll look at the Republican Party and say, "You're stuck with me. Let's go through with this."